Alex, you said something really important. I learned this at Harvard in a course that I did with them. Was
you were talking
about
to Harvard?
Oh, look, he already dropped Harvard.
Yeah.
I know. Look at
How do you know
yeah,
someone went to Harvard?
Yeah.
So we're bringing on Zach and Kirk, who most people, probably know of. I feel like you guys are super active on social media, right? And are good at that. And Zach's got his own group that he's working on, and Kirk's kind of everywhere. I feel like I always see a post of him somewhere. So it's like funny because it's like I know them but don't know them. They know us but don't know us, right? But we figured we all kind of have strong opinions, so I think it'd be fun just to kind of go through and come it from our perspective, right? As like the dentist always wanting to
as just a couple of dentists.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And them as like the actual office managers who actually do all the shit that we just yell at them to do, right?
Just a couple of office managers, you know?
Yeah,
there you go.
Fighting a couple
That's
of
going to be the name. Your podcast is changing next week, right? It's going to like, where did he get that from?
It's totally original.
I know. Yeah. Okay, so I say we just get into it and kind of talk through a couple stuff and kind of get your thoughts on it. So, like I said, I don't know. I feel like Alex and maybe I did this more than you. Alex has always been more of like, I'm gonna say what needs to be done and I'm gonna make sure I implement it, right? So she's been pretty good at kind of doing both pieces. Okay. Whereas I'm a little bit more like, I feel like maybe I'm more like most dentists where I'm just like, hey, we should do this. And I'm like, you figure it out.
Yeah, because when you think of like an org chart and there's like the visionary on top, like that's, somewhat more of Eric. And then there's like the operator, GM, office manager, whoever. I'm a stronger operator. Like I like logistics. I can deal with, organizing that kind of stuff. And obviously I can have a vision too.
Yeah.
But I think that was kind of always our disconnect was Eric, was like, oh yeah, let's do this. And then it's like, no, how the heck could you possibly do that? Yeah. Or like, okay, let me figure out how to actually get that done.
Yeah. Well, you need your Steve Wozniak to your Steve Jobs, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to have your number 2 to your number 1. Right?
Yeah. But that kind of makes it sound like, I don't think I'm the number 1. Wait, who am I?
No,
I'm Steve Jobs.
But still, like a CEO does not necessarily need to be a good operator, right? They need to hire a good operator.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
An operator doesn't necessarily they're not always a good visionary, which is just completely different brain, right?
Yeah, and the visionary doesn't always end up being the implementer. You got it. You can have Eric, you could have this great idea, but have no idea how to actually get it on the ground.
That's my life.
I think that's the big thing is number 1 and number 2 are just for the sake of laying it out. But really, you do have to have somebody that can actually bring it to the ground where, Alex, you said you're good at that, but I still honestly believe that's the OM's position. If you're trying to run something out, because they're going to be, the rest of the team's going to be the one that's going to be accountable to them for this.
Absolutely.
I
never said I wasn't a micromanager. I can still tell people what to do, but But no, I do like systems. I think that's
Absolutely.
kind of one of the strong suit is okay, but I think you need to know what the systems are, organize them, and then delegate. And I always 100%. Come from understanding the system first before you're allowed to delegate it. But that was always just me. For someone like you, it might be a little bit harder to actually figure out the system, do the step-by-step thing.
I think it just depends on who you've hired, right? Like he was saying, if you hired someone say Kirk or Zach, and they came and worked for your office and they have X amount of years experience, they've worked at a big office, they know that, then they're bringing that value there. I think what happens a lot of time in dental is you start a practice, you either promote your assistant or someone who maybe isn't, they're a good assistant, but maybe they're not qualified to be an office manager because it's a totally different set of skills. Yeah. And then it's just the blind leading the blind because you just don't know. And I feel like that is the case in dental, right? Do you guys feel that too, where it's just it's a very internal hire all the time and always for positions that you just assume. Well, you've got a dentist who doesn't usually have a business background, right? So they're just kind of going blind a little bit or learning on the go, which is fine.
100%.
But then when they're hiring people, they're hiring they're hiring Sally, who was their assistant for 30 years, and she wants to make more money or she wants more responsibilities, and you're like, okay, well, be the office manager.
She can't assist anymore because her back hurts. So it's like, okay, well, here's a sitting job, kind of thing. And it's maybe we're just really lazy at hiring.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Did you guys both? What was your guys here? Kirk's laughing at it. Did you guys
Kirk's
have
got thoughts.
previous experience in dental at all, or not?
No. So we we just called ourselves skateboarding rock stars. So like his background's professional skateboarding, mine's professional music. So not dental at all. But we had to learn how to create experiences that evoked emotion to create raving fans, and then learned business along the way.
Yeah. So the only difference I had between Kirk and I, as far as experience, I was a dental tech for 11 years. I was on the other side of dentistry, which is, they say crap rolls downhill. Dental techs are at the bottom of that hill, and it just piles up on top of them. That's where I was at for a long time. But it was a whole different aspect of dentistry that helped me get to where I'm at now, of understanding patient experience and like what patients do go through when they're getting a crown or they're getting full arch, or if I was doing a denture for them, like being chairside, learning like what in their life they want to change by getting this denture. Like that's a very valuable thing to be able to learn. But Alex, you said something really important. I learned this at Harvard. In a course that I did with them, was
you were talking about Harvard.
Oh, look, he already dropped Harvard.
Yeah.
I know. Look at
How do you know
someone
went to Harvard?
Yeah. No, I did an organizational
No big
leadership. I did an organizational leadership program at Harvard, and it's all about scaling and growth in business, right? And you were talking about learning systems, and one of our projects that we were required to do is take first a big corporation like Intel or McAfee, or Levi Strauss was another one that we did case studies on. And look at their systems and reverse engineer them and basically do root cause analysis, but then build a system off of that issue that you're finding in order to correct it and make sure it doesn't break again. And you were talking about that, like how you love systems and you're backing them up. And then we were required to do that on our own business that we worked in. And it opened up a lot of avenues that I was like, oh crap, like these are areas that we're like completely falling through the cracks with. And you're building plans. So I think like where you were talking about like building the systems and getting things to work correctly is like one of the biggest things. I think owner docs, like they have this vision, but they have no idea of like what it actually looks like, of like where it's actually breaking. So I just kind of want to throw that out there. Like it's really important for people to understand, like you have that mindset of like looking at it, where is it broken? How do we fix it? And what are the pain points in between that we can avoid this system from breaking? And then push it to its limits and break it on purpose so that you can build it even stronger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great point. Yeah.
So what about this system, guys? Because we were kind of going on that. The system that we've never been able to really figure out well is like bonuses. So like literally we've gone through, I don't know, Alex, at your office, it was just like based off production, right? Or something based off that metric. Then it was, if you hit that bonus, then you could draw from a bag, right? And everyone could get, a $50 bill, $100 bill. And then we had ones based on other metrics we were doing. And every time,
and we can go on and on.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
every
already
single
bored
time
with
these are,
it
like,
and
the
already
things that-
annoyed. I don't even want to be a part of that bonus.
So what would happen is every time, I know, every time we would do that, it ended up always becoming an expectation. I could never figure out a way, even when telling people over and over again, not an expectation, don't rely on it. They would get frustrated if it was too hard, right? They would never get frustrated if it was too easy, right? They always wanted it to be easier. So it was always hard to balance that piece. And then it was always hard to balance resentment, because you always have your A players, your B players, and your C players. And it's like, how do you balance all that? Because one way was, okay, well, then you have different metrics for each people.
Individual goals.
Yeah,
that
but
they
then
have.
someone's like, well, theirs is easier than mine. I want to do that now, right? Like if you have some magic wand on what's worked for you, like share that with us, because I freaking hate bonuses. Honestly, what we did is we just took the advice of one of our buddies that he did this a few years ago, and he found out what everyone was getting paid, what they got paid with bonuses for the last year, paid him even a little bit more, and said, this is your pay, no more bonuses, and you're just getting a bump. And then that's what we did.
I mean, that's fair if you want, but you know what works best for your practice. Kirk, do you want to start with it, or do you want me to?
You can. I'll hit it with a home run on the end.
Sweet, love it. Kirk's the pinch hitter for us. So I love bonuses, and so I'm completely opposite from you guys. And honestly, I think a couple things come into play, right? Like expectation is one of the biggest ones. Like when I was making the joke, like I'm already bored with it. Like the moment you have a bonus system or structure that's difficult to follow and hard to figure out how you're going to earn it, or too many steps to get there, it's like, okay, you first got to tie your left shoe on Mondays, and then first, and then your right shoe. And then on Tuesdays, you got to tie it right, then left. And then on Wednesdays, you have to greet 17 patients with a big smile on your face. And if you don't, then you don't get it at all. But if you do, you get 110% of this portion and 5% of this portion. And you start going through all these things, right? Because I know another doctor that I've worked with, and he's like, he gave me the equation. I asked his bookkeeper to give it to me, and now with permission. And he's like, well, this is how it works. And I was like, you're joking, right? I was like, how many times?
That's how ours was.
I was like, how many times have they done
when I did one? I nuked
maybe
it.
more.
That wasn't on you. I nuked it really bad. Where I like
you got them fighting.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I nuked it. I
worked.
nuked it pretty bad. I'm the one.
Yeah.
I know we're fighting. I'm the one taking the blame for it. That's so funny. That's why. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like I had this crazy spreadsheet too, and I found myself hating the bonus too because I was spending 3 hours like figuring out the calculations.
No,
and I was like,
that's
why
wrong.
am I wasting money on
Right
this?
there.
Yeah.
No, you are wasting your time. You're wasting everybody's time. And it's not a good or bad. I'm not saying you're bad at anything. It's just that's a waste of time. It's just an honest statement. Bonuses to get me to write checks at the end of the month, it takes me about 45 minutes for our 37 team member staff.
Jeez. Okay, so what is it?
So the biggest thing, so for assistants, it's same day treatment conversion for assistants. So we are doing individualized. Now you need to get your expectation with your team. This is what it is. This is how you earn it. If you want to earn it, great. If you don't, you don't have to. But don't complain to me about how this system and structure is set up. That's the first thing. Get them to stop complaining. If they don't agree with it and they're going to complain and complain and complain, find somebody else. Like just get them out of your office because it's not good culture to complain in the practice. Yeah. I'm just going to tell you right now, if they're not on board with what you're wanting to do, they're not on board with a lot more than you don't realize. And maybe that's just a different conversation. That maybe you can get them on board, but the complaining doesn't help anything. But what we do is it's flat rate, $25 for every crown they get cut same day. Okay. They get $10 for every filling, Invisalign pre-scan for treatment if they sign up for Invisalign. We do different things on Invisalign days, which will be a whole different conversation, but I can send that over to you. And then so night guards, fillings, if they're a limited exam, they convert them over to a comp and FMX. They get $10. They get, did I say night guards? Any adjunct service basically is $10 per procedure. So if they do four fillings,
same day conversion only,
or same day conversion. So if they come in for a limited exam and then we end up cutting 3 crowns, they get $75 that day.
Okay, so what's good? What I like about that at first is it definitely promotes people to not be lazy, right? Because what would happen with us is when we did it production based. My assistant, I know, I love her. She was like the first one we had. We had her for a long time before she moved. But I know when she would look at the schedule, if it was full for this week, she was like, let's just push this crown to next week, right? Because we already hit our goal. And that became a big issue. So I like that that's just set on same day starts. So do assistants get pissed though? Or what's your system for,
who gets limited?
Yeah,
who gets,
Sarah
who
gets
dibs on
stuff.
stuff?
Do they fight over that?
No.
How do you keep it fair?
Well, it's whatever's open in their column. It's the way you have your schedule set up. Fair is not a thing. Honestly, it's a way it's going to open. If you have an opening in your schedule and a limited gets put in there, that's what gets put in there. It's not like you.
I tried to trigger you with that fair comment.
Yeah,
I can tell.
No, fair's ridiculous, honestly. But like, none of them complain because it's like unless this is the only time you're going to get assistants pissed off with each other, and you shouldn't ever do this, and assistants shouldn't do it to each other because it's wrong. Is they'll flip the schedules and slide over the limited to them and give them the comp and FMX, intentionally doing. I tell my team, I'm like, you don't do that or I take it away. So it's if you have an opening, a limited gets in there. But there's a couple things that need to happen with this, okay? Because just because there's a limited in that column does not mean that patient's getting same day treatment. That is not just an open door because you're incentivized to get that bonus.
Yeah.
One, it's a trifecta. The assistant one has to be on board, right? The doctor has to be on board and the patient has to be on board. But only if we have time to do it. So it's like if the doc's got, front desk just screwed them over and put a huge bridge prep right next to this limited in PA, and then just underneath that on the other column is another big case, and like you're going to run behind because you're going to be doing these other fillings. No, we're not doing them today because that's going to be disservicing the other patients and making you run late for them. But like say you have time, you have plenty of time to get them scanned for a night guard. You have to get them started on Invisalign, or you're like, hey, simple, just facial on number 9 that we need to repair. We're going to take care of that today. Perfect, not a problem. we'll get that added on for treatment. But you got to be smart about it. It's not just like
Yeah. So who
haphazardly,
makes
like
those
everything.
decisions? Do you make those decisions, or does like the treatment coordinator, or who
No,
do
the
you...
assistant and the doctor do. So the assistant knows what the schedule looks like. So you have to have this. This all runs back to, it's going to be a deeper conversation, guys. It's going to run back to your morning huddle prep. Honestly,
Yep.
that's how we get all this taken care of, is knowing beforehand all of this is in your morning huddle prep, which you can have a whole other conversation about morning huddles. But that's how you manage that right there is, hey, doc, we have Eric coming in. He's, super compliant. He needs to get a crown. We've already, we know what's going on. We just need to get the PA for him. Do you want to do that today? Because everything under here, or knowing your doctor's limits. Like my assistants know what my doctors can do and say, hey, we're going to go ahead and add this on today if you're cool with it. Yep, perfect. Take the PA, be ready for me. So they don't set up for a limited, they set up for a crown. And that's where you're saving your time. Yeah. If your assistants are having to go back and get the setup, you're like, nope, you're already done. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like that's, you're wasting the time. You need to be ready to go. So that's a big one for that. We have a fluoride incentive for all of our hygienists. They get $5 for every fluoride that they place that, I can send you the whole schedule on how we do that also. And then for front desk, it's same day openings and hygiene or treatment. They fill it in. They get $4 for every one of those appointments.
Yep.
I can
so how do
guarantee
you track that?
Yeah. How are you tracking this? Because like, I like what you're saying, but then I'm also like, there's a
what
lot
software do you use?
Open Dental.
Okay, perfect. Audit trails are really easy to spot check it once you get them accountable with it. But you just say original appointment date. This was the opening. Did they show? They highlight it. So patient's name, the date they originally scheduled, or the date. If they didn't have an appointment, you would just put unscheduled. So UNCH, or SCH. Yeah. And then the date you schedule them. If they show up, you highlight it. And then I can go back and I can spot check, because now my team's super accountable with what they do. I go through.
Oh, so you make sure they have. It's almost like you want the money. You have to put in the.
Oh, 100%. No, I'm not doing. I do none of that work. And same with the assistants.
Yeah.
They write down the patient's name, what we did, what their appointment was, and in their clinical note they put patient opted for same day treatment. They don't do it. They don't get it. And then all I do is I go through and I spot check it. I can email you guys, a full layout of it, but that's like a really quick, card. And then I just run through all their stuff, and it takes me about 45 minutes to go through them. Each sheet takes me probably 3 or 4 minutes to go through and check.
Oh, nice.
It's super effective. Nice. And our team loves it. And every team member makes in between, depending on how many days a week they work, because that's where their bonus structure works. If they work 1 day a week, they only have 1 day opportunity to make bonus. Yeah. But it's relying on them. It's nobody else. You want to be lazy and not do it? That's fine. You don't make money. But the other people, they range from $100 a month to $800 a month, depending on how hard they want to work.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's huge. If you like our podcast, check out Alex's newsletter, Just 2 Minutes. It's full of great advice, which makes sense considering it's her thoughts and not me sidetracking her every 2 seconds. You can subscribe at coupleofdentists.com. The link is in the show notes. Now, back to the pod.
Wow. Okay, that was...
All right, well, Zach hit a grand slam with that one, or Kirk, so we don't... No?
Kirk's like, I got one.
What can we add?
He's like, no, actually, he swung and missed. Yeah.
No. I think the important thing to really be intentional on this is it depends on your practice, right?
Yeah.
Because like obviously he has a much bigger practice to be able to manage that many people and try to figure out. To me, that sounds like a nightmare of complexity. I like simplifying things as much as possible, but I would rather manage what you were talking about, Eric, right? With people becoming an expectation, right? Than to have to manage so many different numbers and people understanding it, because I like simplicity. So I personally, what we do as a daily bonus, it's based off of gross production, because I know my adjusted. And as long as I can keep my payroll at 20%, which ours stands around 17 on normal days or normal months, then
17. Were you like Alabama or something like that?
No,
you're in Tennessee.
I'm in Tennessee, but
that's awesome.
Either way, our team will make anywhere from $800 to $1,600 extra a month. So it's based off a team. So for easy numbers, right? So it's essentially a grab bag, but we have a spinny wheel that has a 25, a 50, a 75, and 100, right? And they spin it at the morning huddle the next day. If we hit the $10,000, right? If that's our goal. And that's where I know I'm going to write off about 25% of that. We're going to hit 7,500 in collections. That's where my payroll hits 20%, right? So, and then it's up to me to make sure that my business is running smoothly, to make sure we're collecting properly and that we're hitting those percentages. But we go gross production, $10,000. If we hit it, great. Because what I want to do, and the reason why we outpace a lot of people, is because we're consistent. So if I can hit $10,000 every single day, I'd rather have that than a $20,000 day, a $4,000 day, a $7,000 day, a $5,000 day, over and like back and forth of a roller coaster. Because naturally what happens is you end up burning people out because you have a really crazy day, and then the next day it's lower because you just can't get the energy to do it. Yep. So I want consistency, tortoise in the hairstyle. So we hit $10,000 the next day they spend, and whoever worked that day, similar to yours, Zach, whoever worked that day to hit it as a team, everybody gets the $100 that was there, or whatever they spent.
So it's a spin for the whole team, not individual pulls. Okay,
exactly.
That's
because
probably
it pushes for the whole team to come together and work as a team. Because if we don't, then we're not going to hit that goal. Yeah. And we hit it about 60 to 70% of the time. Like that's kind of the metric. Like if it's a little higher than that, then it's too easy. If it's a little lower, that is too
So
hard.
how do you have that conversation with them? Because that was the challenge we had. Is like it's just you're guessing at first, right? You're like, my goal is 10,000, but a year from now your goal might be 13,000.
Well, not even like month
right?
from month.
So like, how often are you resetting your goal, and how do you once a year?
Yes.
And then how do you have that conversation with them that it's going higher, and they go, oh, now I have to work harder?
So first, when you implement your bonus system, like Zach said, you have to set the expectation. And I think that's probably, as leaders, in general, like not even practice owners, OMs, everybody, leaders in general have a really tough time setting expectations properly. We need to be able to set it with patients properly. We need to be able to set it with our teams properly and set it with ourselves properly. But when you implement a bonus system, you need to be able to say, hey guys, here's where payroll is at 20%. We're honest. Like, hey, this is where payroll is at 20%. So that way we can operate smoothly. So that way I can take you on trips. I can pay for your CE, pay for your scrubs, do different things. That's what allows us to be able to do that and have these benefits. But it will go up as our fees go up, as we hire new team members. And we ask our team like, hey, we're running a little ragged. We probably need another assistant or another hygienist, whatever. Are you guys okay with us hiring another person, or are you guys good where you are? Because they know that we have also a monthly collection bonus that it will split another way. Mm-hmm. Most of the time they'll tell you, no, we're good. We're okay with working a little harder. Or they'll be like, no, it's okay. Like, let's go ahead and get somebody. But once again, it's about setting that expectation, knowing it will increase if we add a team member, or if our fees go up, which every year it will, because I always set them at January 1, new fees go up 5%. Then if they start whining, okay, you just have to keep them accountable. It's like, hey guys, we don't have to do this, but you got to be quick about it. You can't just let it continue on, like Zach was saying too.
Because what will you do? What would you do, Kirk, if you have like that employee?
Yeah, because in your scenario, it's a group. Like everyone gets that, and you're looking at the person next to you, and you're like, they weren't hauling ass. Like I was doing all of the work, but they're still getting the same amount. So is it? Who do you address? Like the person that comes to you that is complaining, or the person that's not pulling their weight?
So if you do it well, your team will address it to that other team member, because they
Survivor
know.
Style.
Yeah, like basically, like okay, or like the Joker style. Here's a pencil, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You just figure it out. But still, like we have team agreements in our end of the year meeting every single year that we go through. And one of the things that we do not tolerate is negativity and gossip, right? Yeah. And if a team member's down, another team member will pick them up if you see them that way. Right?
Yeah. So if you have someone that just isn't doing that, are you quick to be like, all right, you're not a good fit, you need to get out of here?
Yeah. Because look, I love this quote by Dan Martell. This is how he approaches it. Because if you have to let somebody go and they're surprised by it, then you've done it wrong. They need to be okay, like, oh man, and honestly be relieved that you're letting them go, because they need to know that their performance is not where it needs to be, right?
Yeah.
See,
but you need either an
works.
OM. Yeah. Well, and here's what he says on the expectation, right? This is a high performance team, a high performing team. There are people here who are for a season, and there are people who are here for multiple seasons, but you're not guaranteed a spot. Everybody here earns it. So in that sense, we have set the expectation of like, look, we want you here, but we're a high performing team. So if you don't meet those standards, then you may not be here next season. Right?
Well, yeah,
That's great.
we were even saying too, like I was just listening to a podcast last night, and they interviewed like Mr. Beast on it, right? And they had asked him what he hates the most, like, and it's mediocrity. He said
Yes.
he hates mediocrity because he was like, he's like, and what sucks about mediocrity is it's so hard sometimes to get rid of that mediocre person because like your A players, like, you know where they are, they're motivated, you know, they buy in, you train them, and you feel like you get a good return on your investment. The C players, you know, pretty early on, they're just going to be out. But it's like those B players who like sometimes do stuff, but they're good at hiding it. And those are the people that are really hard to like.
And they bring everyone else
Yeah,
down.
and they still
Yeah.
bring people down, right?
Yeah.
They still like take you, because if you're a high performing team, right, you need A players. If you have even a few Bs, like it'll drag people down.
It
So it's like you
can.
need to like lift them up.
It can, but I mean, let's be honest. Like, if you're like, I always have people rate their teams on a scale of 1 to 10. Like, if they're a 7, you can probably get them to an 8 or a 9.
Yeah.
But if they're a 5, they will never be an 8 or a 9. Right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
need
that's
to be
fair.
okay with a 7 or above. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Now, sometimes it takes harder or a lot longer to find these people, and you've got to work harder to incentivize them that way. But you need to be able to get better at hiring and better at firing, to be honest. Like, most people deem themselves as good hirers, but we're terrible at firing people.
Well, I think
Right.
with that statement, Kirk, is we're good at getting butts in the chairs
Yeah.
in general,
Yeah.
but doesn't mean you're good at hiring. And then
Yeah.
dentistry just not even dentistry alone, but everybody sucks at firing for the most part.
Yeah.
We drag
Yeah.
things out way too long.
But you're only as effective as what you allow. So if
Yeah.
you allow your B players and or your C players to continually do what they do, then your A players, like you said, will naturally start getting away with things like small stuff, but then start doing things that are not in their nature because you're allowing the C player to get away with stuff without,
Yeah.
telling them about it.
Yeah, that's where the new bar becomes. It drops, and
Yeah.
now here's the new expectation. You can come late to a meeting, or you can,
Right.
not do your checklist or whatever it is. That becomes the new standard.
And so like, and I think this kind of goes back to like the overarching thing of like with dentists is that's a big task, right? To be the leader of an office, because you not only like, I think it's tough as a dentist to say, all right, you need to be the producer, right? If your role is I'm also producer and I'm leader and I'm like de facto kind of manager, right? Like, you have to not only be able to produce and focus on that, but you also have to focus on everything else. Like, you can't be late to a meeting. If you're late to a meeting, then your team's going to do it. And you have to, so like, I don't know any of our friends who have built big practices or even successful practices from like, I don't know, whatever you want to build, right? If you want to build a lifestyle practice, a good lifestyle practice, a good super practice, whatever that is, without having like a number 2 that takes some of that off, unless you as the dentist want to transition into that and you have associates who do that for you. But I do not know how you can do both and be good at it.
So this is what me and Zach were just talking about. So, the majority of my clients when I'm coaching practice owners are those solo doc practices that don't have an OM.
Yeah.
Right. So the way that we scale them without having an OM and not burning them out, because like most of my clients would say, like, it just got easier after we started working together. Like, it took a little time to steer the ship that way, but naturally it's like, I'm not sleeping on my couch at the office on Thursday night anymore because I'm so exhausted.
Yeah.
Right. It's simply because the way you approach your systems, you need to be very intentional on how you build them, and it needs to be team led up to a certain point, right? To where now when you have an OM come in, whether it's at 1.5, 2 million, whatever, then they're managing the team because the team already knows how to lead that system, right? So now the manager can come in, lead the team with the systems, just make sure it's within the right metrics, right? But then they're leading the team over here, but then they're also doing the admin stuff that the doctor is doing and taking that off their plate now.
Yeah.
So now you don't have an OM who's coming in trial by fire trying to build systems so that way it's team led and then also try to do the admin stuff, and it's just a crap storm the whole time.
So like, what type of you guys are both OMs, what type of OM, like, who do you need to hire if you're a dentist and you're like, I need an office manager?
Like personality wise, like
Yeah.
on a disc
Well, a guy
assessment.
named
Either like
Joe,
personality or just
he's
like
about
what
5'7", 140 pounds. No.
Went to Harvard Business School.
Yeah, he's a Harvard grad.
So listen, that's a big question, right? Like, who? So Kirk and I were just talking about this also. Like, one of the I made a joke like go to a conference and find the office manager that paid their own way. That's the person you want.
Yeah.
You need to find somebody that's completely motivated. Like Kirk said, having people above 7, that's great. Like that's not bad. And we're not talking about just having like a mediocre team, but like overperformers, but you're not going to have 10s across the board. It's just not reality. It's not an expectation that you can have. But you do, and what you need to hire. No, absolutely. What you need to hire is a self-starter, somebody that's super motivated, passionate about dentistry and wants to grow and that care about your business. So you need to look either for that person in your practice that's already there, that's taking ownership over things, or you need to go find them. And then the other portion of that is if you have somebody that's close to that, but just hasn't had that potential unlocked, then you as a doctor need to elevate them to that point. You ask them, hey, do you want to grow? Do you want to get bigger in dentistry? You want to do better things? And if they're like, yeah, do you want to start having some ownership of this business and not physically as equity, right? But like ownership in what the business is doing and how it's growing. And then you're going to get kickback on that because I'm going to incentivize you for that. Then if they say yes to those things, then get them the education that they need. We literally just talked about this. Empower them, stop being cheap and say, hey, I'm going to go send you to all these courses and I'm going to get you to learn the best possible that you can so I can step away, sit in the chair, cut teeth, and then my business is going to do what it needs to do. So there's a lot of
I know both of us are like, oh yes, we would love that.
Yeah.
However,
okay. So here's my thought on it. So, and this is for Kirk, right? Would you be as motivated if your wife's a dentist, right? And she's the practice, right? So like you have upside, right? More so than probably the average office manager because like, I mean, it's even if like she owns the practice, you guys are married. So like there's that. Would you be as motivated if there was an equity upside?
Yeah, I think I would. Simply because like my nature is to always do my best, no matter where I am. And if your vision as a practice owner is big enough to where it allows me to hit my personal goals, then I'm staying. Right. And you invest in me and you send me to John Maxwell courses on leadership and you send me, to Scott Luna courses on business of dentistry and different things. Like I naturally will want to just be just better. Right. And grow and try to help you succeed because I have an abundance mindset in general. Because I know that in getting you to where you want to be, I'm going to get to where I want to be. But the problem with most practice owners, I feel like, is that they don't have a clear or big enough vision to allow that to set in place.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or the ability to want to do that for someone else. Like they want the bottom line, they want to see that profitability, but they don't want to invest in that person to grow it because they're like, well, what if this or what if that? Like sometimes you got to take the plunge.
That's the big part. It's the what if.
Yeah. But you can't live life off of what ifs, honestly. Like you do in business, sometimes you got to take a risk. But if you can calculate it as much as you can, it's really important because I'm that person. I have zero equity stake in the practice I'm in. Zero. I've grown this practice, obviously along with our team, but over 3.5, almost 4 million in 5 years. Grown. So that's not like what we're doing. That's what we've grown. And I have this much ownership of that practice as far as the business is concerned. But I've taken ownership over that because my docs have invested in me and they've also given me incentivization of, hey, the business does better, you do better. So you get paid out when the profitability is where we want it at. Okay, great. That's awesome. That's where my ownership comes from. So that's where you take that risk out. It's like, okay, you want to do better? Perform. Show me that you can do it, and then you're going to do better.
Yeah, Zach, if you've grown it that much, you should tell the doctors you want equity. I bet you they give it to you. I mean, I probably would.
But I think most.
Go ahead.
I think most dentists come from that fear mindset, me included, a long time, maybe not as much today, but definitely like, yeah, I'd love to invest in you. I'd love to send you to these courses. But guess what? I'm getting that 6 months later, hey, I decided to move on. And it's like, shit, like I just invested in you. We did all these courses. And when it happens time after time after time again, you get so discouraged that you're like, I don't want to spend any more money on this role because it's not worth it. And I think that's a lot of dentists that do that. So they end up like paying kind of not minimum wage, but like the minimum, like not that, like I want an A player, I'm going to pay them an A salary, like A plus salary, that kind of thing. So I don't know. It's not the right framework to think about, but
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's definitely like in an ideal situation you wouldn't think like that. I mean, I think the other thing I come from too, Zach, is like, you always like let's say like doctor to doctor, right? So like a owner doctor and then an associate, right?
Yeah.
I feel like if you ever have like an A+ associate, right? Like they can produce over 100,000 a month. They're doing still good quality dentistry, right? Like ethical, all that. They're not. I would bet most aren't going to stay an associate for 20 years, and they're either going to ask for partnership opportunities, or they're going to start their own thing. So it's
Unless
like,
they've
how
already
do
been
you
an owner
invest-
and they don't want to do it anymore.
What'd you say?
I said unless they don't want to be an owner, because they've already done it. Like we have an associate that way. He used to own a practice. He's like, I don't want to own anymore. I'm tired of that. And he's now an associate with us. He produces like 150, 170 a month and crushes it. And guess what?
that's
he goes
huge.
home every single night and doesn't have to worry about a single thing. So like there's nuances to it, and
So I think
things
that
you
I
have
think
to
that
find.
helps with like you said, if you have like the not older doc but more seasoned doc. I think if you're getting like the new grads and
Oh yeah,
they're like, holy crap, man, I'm making this much, but if I owned a practice and I'm confident I could do it, I can make like 3 times as much as this.
you
I
could.
feel like then
So this is the way you preface it with associates, because I've hired a bunch for our practice. We have 5 total doctors here, and I've hired several, and I've done it myself. We have never hired somebody to find dentists for us. I've done it all myself. And I tell them, I'm like, before I even bring them in, I'm like, do you ever want to own? And they're like, no, like yes or no. Like I get through that conversation. I just let you know, like I want to know yes or no. Do you ever want to own? And if they're like, yes, that's really my main goal. And I say, I don't know if this will be the right fit for you, because there's already 2 owners here that will not relinquish equity. They're 2 business owners. That's not how we run. But what I can tell you is this is what we want to do for you. This is where we want to grow you. And this is what we want to do for you to make as much as you possibly want to make. Do you want the responsibility of owning and running a business? And they're like, I've kind of been on the fence about that. I'm like, well, let me tell you the upsides from it. Let me tell you the downsides. And so you make the decision on your own. But like what we're looking for is a long-term commitment. And we kind of set those expectations in the beginning, right?
how many people tell you the truth? Because I lied every time. Literally
everybody.
every time.
So many. So I'll tell you, one I kind of knew right off the bat, and she lasted 18 months, which is about the average associateship, right?
Yeah.
But we all kind of knew, like, hey, it's kind of a stepping stone, but we needed it at the time. She's the only one that's ever left our practice. All the other ones have 5+ years with us, and they do about 12 to 18% more every year, and they love it because guess what we do? The owners don't take all the big cases. They don't take all the crazy stuff. We feed our associates as much as we possibly can.
That's what we did. And part of it is because I never really wanted to do like complex stuff. Like that's not me.
Find
like,
somebody that loves it and give it to them. They'll be happy all day
right?
long.
And it actually worked because when we brought on associates, like I fed them way more, and like that kept them really happy. Because I think a lot of associates, like one of their big fears is I'm going to join a practice, and the dentist is going to continue to take all the big stuff, and he's just going to give me the little stuff. I'm not going to get new patients. And honestly, when I worked at a corporate office while I was waiting for my office to get built, like our second location, that's kind of exactly what happened. It was a newer office. It was a big corporate office and a new owner doctor there. And like my expectation was, as the associate, like I'm supposed to grow my, patient base. Yeah. But like it's hard to do that when like the other owner's taking like 80% of the new patients, and it's like you feel like you're back in dental school, right?
The
like
owner doc that works here, the one owner that works here, the other one doesn't. He takes about 3 new patients a month.
Yeah.
We feed all of our associates. We saw 362 new patients for the last 2 consecutive months, and they go all to our associates.
Well, that's because you're the guys who are owning the practice, right? Or you too, right? Are focused on big picture and how does that help the business grow?
So
right?
that
versus
and that's the other part. I'm not saying like, so with like office managers, right? Like how you're like, oh, I've been there, I've done that, I don't want to invest anymore. Like it does take, like sometimes you've got to find somebody that's outside of dentistry, like, and that is good with business, that doesn't know all the nuances. And it's not that you're shielding them from that, but in a way you are, and you're finding somebody that's kind of virgin to that whole industry, but they're really, really good with business and people. And then you can grow those systems. So like you got to think outside the box. Like Jonathan hiring me thought outside the box. He's like, he's a dental tech, so he knows some dentistry. And I was also I did EMT school, so I had emergency medicine behind me too. So I understood anatomy. I understood all of the lab side of dentistry. And but he's like, you just came highly recommended because you're great with people. And it's not to toot my own horn, but like that's how I've been successful, is I can relate with people. But because I was a professional athlete, like I had to be good with people. You want people to like you, you got to be nice to them. You got to be able to stand there and take pictures with them, sign autographs. You got to do all that crap. You got to mark all those things off. And so like sometimes it does, like if you meet somebody, like this is something I do all the time. I look whenever I'm at some random place, restaurant or to a store, and somebody's giving me exceptional customer service. I'm like, hey, have you ever thought of a different career? Give them your business card, dude. You could change that person's life, and you'd be like, dude, I found this person at the Gap. I was buying a T-shirt, and this person ended up being my OM and crushing dentistry.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to find the best OM in dentistry. Like they're out there. And I'm not saying that like when you invest in your OM, like I'm not saying day one, go spend 10 grand in all this education. Like that's stupid. You're putting all your eggs in one basket and then it fails and you wasted your money. Like I'm saying this money has been invested over years of me working here, right? Yeah. So like you can sit and you can be like, all right, well, the first thing I want to do is just get you a membership to an association. Like take a couple courses, get your feet wet, get things under your ground and start training them and growing them. And as you see more and more potential, like check in with them and say, hey, this is where I want to see you. Is that where you see yourself? If you don't, then you've invested maybe $1,000, $2,000. Like that's not a ton of money to where you're like, it was worth to better them. And I was a part of that. And they were able to do better now, and they've gone and done bigger and better things that they want to do. But like you can do that incrementally, and then you will end up finding that person. But you also got to be aware is when you have that person, they do so well, they eventually will go do bigger and better things because they are going to outgrow you at some point if they're that much of a go-getter. Does that make sense?
Which I think is good, right? Like that's what we've learned even with like the associates we have. Like I'm fine when they want to, move on and do more and advance. Like one of ours just got into like endo residency. So next year he'll go do that.
Sick.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like I'm happy for him. Like that's like it, for someone to get to that level and be able to get in, they obviously, I think it can prove they probably weren't a bad dentist, right? They probably knew how to deal with patients, right? They can talk to people. So they were a net positive for us. So like, I don't think we've never really had that mindset where like, oh, I got to like scare them into staying for like 30 years, right? Like that's kind of dumb.
It's not reality. But every once in a while you'll find somebody that stays that long though, and they just love it, and that's where they want to be, and you find that person great. But I just always give that caveat in that like if you're going to empower them like with the expectation like 5-10 years they may outgrow you, but you need to look at that as not I wasted my money, as thank you for doing that 5 to 10 years with me and allowing me to grow alongside you and be a part of your journey. And not see that.
Well, yeah, it's like Alex loves sports analogies, right? Yeah, no. But like like one I've always liked is like everyone talks about the Spurs, right? And like Popovich and all that, and you see how many assistant coaches became professional coaches. Like his tree is so vast, right, and so big, and they still were successful through that whole time. And now with him stepping down, I'm sure the new guy has learned under him forever. So he did create something bigger than himself. And you never saw them. He was competing against the guys who were his assistant coaches, right? And you never heard him say like, that's a bad thing. If it elevates everyone, then that's the important part.
Well, and the thing is that once you get somebody in good that can help you build these systems and implement the systems, get the team on board, then when you end up cycling through, like say needing a new office manager, the system's already built. You're just getting them trained on how to keep everybody accountable on this. Does that make sense? So it's not like you're restarting from ground one because they're gone. It's that just you have to implement them into what you've already built.
And I think a lot of people, that is what happens because the systems leave because they're inside the brain of the office manager. Yeah. And they're gone and you're left with like, oh crap, how do we even do this? Like no one knows what they're doing. And so you do a quick hire or hire from like, oh, my assistant might kind of know what we're doing. And now, and then it just turns into like a big mess.
Well, so and then that does change too with like, and to pivot a little bit within like when you go into like the corporate or DSO landscape is practices can atrophy, right? Because
100%.
you've had that initial owner, right? Or even OM, whoever, like that team that grew it to a big point to probably where they maybe could only sell to a DSO, right? And then they sell a piece or a majority of their equity. And now, that OM leaves, right? Or an assistant leaves, or whoever was in charge of ordering leaves, right? And then the next person, the dentist, maybe trains them, but then maybe the DSO doesn't help support as much, right? And then the dentist is like, well, this was good when I was 100% owner, but now I'm like 30% owner. So like if you're getting paid a management fee and you're getting paid this and this, like, I don't know if I'm as motivated. And so then systems do break down.
Well, I don't even
because
think-
even if you have them documented, though, that'll start to happen.
And I don't even think that's just DSO world. That's with me. Like training someone over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's like it starts out well-intentioned. You have the 50 steps they have to do, and by their 20th hire, you're like, there's 2 steps. Just bring the patient back and we're good. Like, things just really degrade over time. And then I think that leads
What's
to
out of frustration and complacency, right? And like, you're
and
just like,
then
I just
the
want to get it
dentist
done.
gets burnt out because there is because the system failed because it wasn't set up, properly
so-
to
Then I
begin
think
with.
maybe it's a simple way of saying it, but that's why what I was going back to. Maybe it's like, if the goal is to be like, however you define success for us, maybe it's like having a profitable practice. You see a lot of patients, you take care of a lot of people, and it can grow as big as you want it to. You have to choose, if you're a dentist, am I going to be the producer or am I going to be the manager? And like, you can only pick one. You can't pick both and try to do both. So it's like, be the manager, then hire associates, right? But you better have training in how to like run a business and have experience with it. Otherwise, you probably won't be that good at it. Or you become the producer and you hire a really good manager. But like, you have to have that 1-2.
Yeah.
Right.
So there is some balance to, like, I get your point 100%. And like, you're not wrong there. And this is where I tell a lot of people, like, when you get to that point, if the OM leaves, like you're saying, Alex, like everything's in the brain that's gone, like the owner's failed at that point because the owner's not meeting with their OM enough to understand what's going on in the practice. They don't know their business. And then on the other end, if you're only the producer, you're stepping away from that kind of business aspect. You still have to know what's going on in your practice. So if you're taking the assumption of the role as a producer, you still have to regularly meet with your OM to understand the health of your practice, where it's going, and how they're reporting back.
Especially
and forth.
if you
so
have
there's
a
balance
practice
to
loan
that.
out. And
yes.
I agree.
So
that makes sense.
there's an aspect to that where you have responsibilities, but then as the business functions, you have that same responsibility to meet regularly and talk business to understand what's going on in the practice.
So let's shift into this for a second because you just brought it up indirectly.
Okay.
This could be a little polarizing too, but office meetings.
Yeah.
Are you pro office meetings? Do you not like them? I have my obviously opinion on them,
I love the meetings. I love the quote. It was like, I just attended another staff meeting that could have just been an email.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like, it's just a waste of everybody's time. Because we have meetings, right? Because we just think we should have meetings.
Yeah.
That's a lot of times.
Some
for
guy,
people to complain, somebody to set that
65 years old
standard as
said we have to have
business that
meetings.
you got to have staff meetings, right?
Yeah.
So I've switched up how we do it, and I've advised
Okay.
some other practices to do it this way, and I think it works well. So you have it broken up into, your year can be broken into trimesters, right? So there's four months a trimester, right?
Yep.
So 4 times 3 is 12, simple math. All right.
Harvard math.
Well, yeah, Harvard math. There we go. So you have front desk, you have assistants, you have hygiene, and you have all team. There's 4 departments. That covers your whole practice, right? Can we agree upon that?
Yeah. What was the
All
last
the
one you
people.
said? Sorry.
So for
All.
front desk, assistants, hygienists, all team. So everybody.
Okay.
So everybody's covered there in one department or another, correct?
Yep.
So you decide how you want it to roll. Typically, the way I do it is front desk. January, February is assistants, March is hygiene, and then April is all team. And then it resets the next month, next trimester. You have 3 meetings a year for departmental. You have 3 meetings all team a year. Then you actually come up with an agenda of what you're working on. And you spend that time of, hey guys, what's working? What's not working? How can we improve upon it? And then like for this one we have coming up for hygienists, I have a couple hygienists that are going to present on some articles that they read, just in the industry updates of things that they're following and trends and what they see, just to get people engaged and active in it. But be intentional about what you're doing about meetings. Because I think doing meetings for the sake of meetings is a waste of everybody's time.
Yeah.
Just like doing morning huddle for the sake of morning huddle, you're wasting your time. I'm a huge proponent of morning huddle. I teach on that. Dental Intelligence, is having me out again to speak on, a kind of further aspect of that. But I'm also speaking at ADOM for ADOM. It's called Morning Huddle Mastery. I'm a huge proponent on that. But you have to be prepared for it, and you have to be intentional about it. If you're doing it for the sake of doing it, you're wasting everybody's time. Does that make sense?
I agree.
So that's the way I do it is break it up by trimesters, departmental, and be intentional about it. Actually have meetings. And it works really well.
Okay, so when you do meetings though, and say it's hygiene, and then 4 months later you have another hygiene meeting, right?
Yeah.
Do you have action items? How are you managing that for that in between, right? Like you've got goals, right? And you're like, okay, this is where we want to be. How do you do follow-ups? Is that all through like Slack or through emails? Like,
No, direct in person. We meet every morning for huddle. So if there's something I need to talk to hygiene team about, I just bring it up right there and say, "Hey, hygiene team, I need you guys to be looking out for this." So one big one is some of our associates aren't in the office on certain days. So I'm like, "Hey, you guys are scheduling recalls with exams for a doctor that's not there that day." So this doctor has like 8 exams, but there's only one associate. They're not his patients. So guess what? He's got to do all these exams now. So I just have that quick conversation. We just do quick updates. We don't need a whole meeting about it. I don't need an email. I just need to talk to everybody that's there in person that it equates to really quick. And it's not even like, "Hey, you guys suck. Like, what are you doing?" It's like, "Hey, I need you guys to watch out for that." And then if anybody's not there, I shoot them a quick text, or I see them the next day when they're in office, say, "Hey, I talked to hygiene about this yesterday. I just need to make sure Mondays don't schedule Dr. Chapman's hygiene exams because he's not here on Mondays." They're like, "Okay, not a problem. Thanks for the reminder." It's quick and simple. Be direct with it.
Yeah.
No need to complicate it. Slack's a great feature. That's what I recommend for doing like a multi-shift huddles.
Yeah.
Is you can throw it in Slack. That way everybody knows what's going on.
So then when you guys do huddles, because one of our buddy who has a big practice like you run, he did departmental huddles. So he didn't, it was way too much to do with like 30 team members a huddle, right? It would take like 45 minutes. So he would do like, a front, maybe the doctor, and then the hygiene, right? And then if they needed to kind of talk in between, I guess they could after that, but they kind of, they kind of focused on departments.
Yeah. I mean, we run 2 huddles, one for pedo and one for general, because it's all one big practice, but we have, obviously 2 different. Pedo doesn't need to be part of general, and general doesn't need to be a part of pedo. So we split those. But other than that, we've got 23 people on the one side on general, and we run it all with everybody, and we're done in 15 minutes.
We all know Eric wants more friends. If you're enjoying this episode, share the podcast and then tell them to DM Eric so he can hit his quota of 1 new friend per day. Now back to the episode.
How are you? Yes. So then what are you guys saying? I know we're going down the deeper part of morning huddle because I feel like that's it. So are you saying like, are you going like column 1, so-and-so's here, she needs this. Column 2, so-and-so, like.
Yeah, so I don't do anything in huddle except for call their names. So the assistant the assistant who's working with the doctor in that column is responsible for that column. The hygienist responsible for their own column. And they aren't going to have, if they have something on every patient, God bless them, they've got something on every single patient. But most of them, it's 2 or 3 patients that have things that are pertinent to what our day needs to know, and that's it. So they're done with their column in about 30 seconds to a minute and a half. That's all it should take for your morning huddle prep.
So what kind of prep are they doing then? Because we would get this a lot. Like I'd have the assistants. Yes, you have to do your kind of like routing slips, I guess, fill out the information and stuff like that. And then you'd be like, "We don't have time to do this," or like, I don't know.
So
in my
group, I have morning huddle guidelines. So feel free to check that out. And if you have questions about it, you can do that. But it's outstanding treatment. Do they have family members that are unscheduled for hygiene? So if they're in restorative and they have pending treatment, so like, "Hey, doc, you're cutting crown today, but they got treatment we need to schedule after that," they let the doctor know. If they're coming in for a limited exam, they tell them what's going on there. If we're trying to convert for same day, we'll let them know there. If they're a VA patient or a project response patient, so we work with a couple of those organizations.
Yep.
And then in hygiene, going back to the doctor, if they have an unscheduled hygiene appointment, we're trying to cross them over if they're a new patient and they're crossing over from doc to hygiene or vice versa. And then same thing with hygiene is family members that are unscheduled. If they're a perio patient, if we're doing scaling and root planings, if we're starting or finishing on that, any perio maintenances, 5-year update at FMXs or new patients. Those are the big ones we do. And then outstanding treatment. So, and the reason for outstanding treatment.
Give them time at the end of the day? Is that when they do it? Or do they do it?
In between patients. Yeah, whenever they have free time. Yeah. Because a hygienist has a cancellation, they have an entire hour with nothing to do.
Oh, yeah.
And they're getting paid. If they don't have prep done, we're gonna have.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, it seems like in your office, which it's good. It seems like I'm gonna guess that a couple like core values are like you have to be on time.
Yeah.
Right. Because
absolutely.
And you probably can't ever really be on your phones, I'm assuming.
No, never in front of a patient. 100% not in your operatories. You can have it in your break room. So they have time to step away though. Like I don't run this like tight ship that nobody can have any fun. Like we have a ton of fun at work, and there are times people can have a break for a second. Like that should be life. Right. But we give our team plenty of time to get everything done, and nobody ever has trouble getting their huddle prep done. And you know what I tell them? Oh, I don't have time. I didn't get done. I was like, come in early. You're not getting paid for it, but you still have a responsibility to do it. Treat your patient well. Get it done.
You guys can do that in Florida?
Yeah. Yeah.
See, we need to move there. Colorado's closer to California now, so I'm pretty sure you could.
Where are you guys located again?
We're in Denver.
Okay, Denver.
Yeah, the joke is it's becoming like Calirado is what people are calling it.
Calirado.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. No, that's pretty sweet. I mean, Alex, why don't you? I want to get his thought. Oh, last one. How do you deal with this? Because I feel like Dennis, maybe this is like the one of the worst things we do is when we get shiny toy syndrome, right? We go to a CE course, we go to this, and someone tells us we need to buy this or we need to implement this new thing. Or Zach, I know we've been doing the morning huddle this way, but I went to this course and we're switching it up, right? Yeah. What do you tell? Like, what's your advice for doctors, right? Like, I get it in your situation, they probably don't do that to you as much, but like,
no.
Yeah.
So the big thing is first, like anytime you get back from anything, you're excited, right? Like you want to implement all these things, but like you have to decide like, one, why am I implementing it? Is it just because somebody told me it's cool and it like comes with this like really sweet little video that comes with it? Or, you know, I got a free Rolex, so I'm going to say I'm going to do this, right? Like, you know, you got to see what is the benefit of the practice. So like, I always tell every doc, like take just a little bit of a step back. And I pulled this up because I taught this course to our team here. And this was like at the tail end of this course. It was, remember to implement changes sequentially, mastering each one before introducing another one to avoid feeling overwhelmed by the transition. And that's just something that I've wrote. Like you always do things one at a time. So if they're coming back with like a ton of different things, you need to pump your brakes and pick what is most important to benefit your practice, master that, and then start adding something else in. Because if you start adding all these things, all you're going to do is tear your team apart. They're going to get frustrated because they got all these things they have to learn. They don't understand it. And most times if you're excited about it, it's like you're going to the store and you're like, Mom, I just saw this super cool car. Like I really got to get it. It's only $29 and like it's blue. Like, why do you need that? All you told me was it's $30 and it's blue. Like you gave me no information about this thing. Whereas like if you went into it and you're like, hey, I was working, you know, in school today, we learned about cars and science and torque. And it's an RC car, and I would just really like it because I connected with this, you know, in school. It's not that much. I can put some money towards it, and this is why I want it. Like, but you give an explanation to it. Like, there's a little bit more front to that of people getting excited for it. But you're like, hey, it was a $100,000 machine. They said it's awesome, and it can like laser the gums off in 2 seconds. Like, yeah, cool, great. I'm glad that you got that. Or they get all these cool toys, and they're like, man, I asked you for a raise for the last 6 years, and you haven't given me crap. And now you just invested in $500,000 worth of tools. Like that doesn't look good either. So you just have to make sure like what you're doing, like why are you implementing it? Like that's the biggest thing. And how does it benefit your team and your practice? If it makes things more efficient,
when you know, with like the group that you run too, right? I'm sure you interact with tons of OMs. What are the other just give me like 2 or 3 of the biggest things that they complain about, like their dentist doing that bugs the hell out of them.
Pay. Is a big one. I mean, that one's through the group all the time. Like not feeling like they're being paid well. Bonus systems and structures, not understanding how to do them, and then just being supported. That's the biggest thing. Honestly, I think the number one thing that we can learn in dentistry right now, and especially me, the group's over 15,000 people. It's a solid group, right? Like these people want to be supported more than anything. Like. I would say, like, if you gave them a raise or told them you were going to support them, I can guarantee you 90% would be like, I'll take the support right now. Like, they want to feel like their doc's behind them. And a lot of times they'll be like, hey, do this. But then they'll go, oh, yeah, well, I'm not going to do that. And, you know, they've been a good employee, but they're totally disrespecting everybody else. And they're bending over because they don't want the confrontation. Like, you need to support your OM. It's a big one.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, because like, okay, so how much do you think, what are your thoughts on pay with that? When you see OMs like, I want to get paid more, do you feel like it's usually warranted, or do you think sometimes it's like, you might be asking for too much here? Like,
it's a 50-50. Like, it's a mindset, right? Like, so Scott Luna said, I took his course, the Office Manager Mastery course when I came into practice. Really, really good course. And he goes, if you're here to figure out how to make more money for yourself, he goes, get out. He goes, your job is to make your owner doc rich. He said, in return, then you will become
I remember him
doing that.
Yeah. I remember him saying that. We took that one a while ago.
So that's the big thing is like, a lot of times you get in this mindset of like, oh, I need to make more money because I'm worth all this. Like, I'm worth it. This is my value. And it's like, well, payroll's at 35%. Like, where's this money going to come from? Right. Like, you don't understand. And a lot of those people don't understand the business of dentistry.
And
right?
that's the problem we always had is like, I would get office managers sometimes and they would complain about stuff, but I was like, you don't have a good enough background of business yet. So, and I think that's where that comes from is in dental, we'll just hire up from someone and they don't understand. They don't know what if you said a P&L, they'd say, okay, what is that? Or they say, they just know this isn't everyone, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's some where it's like, they know just the number, like like it should be 20 to 25% save for staff costs or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if you said why, like they understand surface level, they don't understand the reasoning behind it. And I think that's the biggest challenge. So I guess maybe that goes back to like supporting office managers, having them take courses that they can learn that stuff and then do it.
Yeah.
But
because once you start understanding that more, then you're like, okay, well, my value is actually there. And if I make more money, then I'm going to pitch to the doctor, okay, well, if I get your profitability over 30%, would you be willing to pay me an extra 20 grand a year? Yeah. Then you look at that and say, well, you're going to increase my profitability by 8%. So that equates to like, say it's 230,000. I'm going to pay you 20. Yeah, I'll do that.
I think the problem too is though, most dentists don't know that well enough either. Right?
No,
so it's like you get a little bit of like the OM almost can't get the support they need because they don't have a boss or an owner who understands it well enough.
Yeah. So take the course, go to Scott Luna's course with the OM. That's what we did.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I went with my owner doc. It was a great way to do it.
Yeah.
But there are so many situations like I'll tell you things that worked really well for me and that will work for a lot of practices, might not work for some practices. That's the thing is it's not a one fix all. Like there's so many unique situations and there's so many unique personalities. A lot of dentists are super stingy and don't want to spend money on anything for anyone. And that's business people in general, but we're talking about dentistry. So I'm going to call dentists out. Like you're cheap. You don't want to pay for it. But I was like, you want to invest in it. You're going to get growth out of it because people feel appreciated. People like to feel appreciated. You know, the national average, I want to say it was, it was part of a mastermind course. They were talking about employee engagement and it was like 25 or 35% of employees in the US are engaged in their work. Like they actually enjoy going to work.
Wow.
That's mind blowing, dude.
Yeah, dude.
You're talking like almost 70% of the staff across the US aren't engaged in what the work they're doing.
Yeah. Which is sad, right? Like, I wonder if it's always been like that or if that's gotten worse, right?
I think, honestly, it's gotten worse. That's just a personal opinion. I don't have any stats to go behind that. But since COVID, I think it's gotten worse for sure. And I think it's a lot to do with, you know, that me mentality. And, you know, if my day is going into how much money can I make today, like that's the wrong mindset to have for anyone.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's tough for us too, is post-COVID, like everyone being able to work remote, right? Like some went back to hybrid, but I think that's what hurt healthcare is like, there's really not a way to do it unless you're like maybe a biller, right? Or something like that. But most jobs, you're in there all the time. And I think when maybe the applicant pool that you're looking at for certain positions based on either their pay expectation or experience or education, they might have a lot more opportunities that could be remote. And so the challenge, I don't know, like when we would go to like Dykema or any of those like DSO conferences, right? Yeah. The heads of those DSOs, at least a couple years ago when we went, they were like, the biggest problems we have is like hiring, right? And it's like everyone kind of feels that because, and so I don't know. That's why like Alex here, let's end it on this little part. Unless you got to go right now, Zach. I don't want to keep.
No, we're good. We can end on this.
All right. If you were going to open up a practice again, and even if you bought something or started from scratch, but you were like, I'm going to just build a big practice, how would you staff it?
Yeah, not with anyone in dental or like limited. I would open it up. Like if I was looking for like a treatment coordinator, I'd find someone in sales, like just flat out in sales. And I will teach you the dentistry. I will teach, like, it's almost probably better to not have any dental knowledge and stuff, because then you can actually talk to the patient in their own like language instead of like
what we're really good at. We're really good at confusing people. We complicate so much crap in dentistry. I'll tell you, like I had the girls doing sedation consults for a pediatric side, and like, you know, you're putting their kids under general anesthesia, right? Like it's a big deal. And they go in and go all through all these details and stuff. I'm like, no, watch this. Say, okay, this is what we're doing. We're going to put your kid under general anesthesia. They're going to be asleep. We're going to perform all the procedures. We bring in a licensed anesthesiologist, entire team that is responsible for keeping eyes on your kids. We're going to complete all the dental treatment today in one visit. You don't have to come back there and be cavity free. Do you have any questions? No, not at all. You keep it nice and simple. They know their kid's getting put to sleep. They got a licensed anesthesiologist, and we're taking care of all the treatment. Oh, and the last question they'll ask is, how much is it going to cost me? That's the only other thing that we're not covering right at that second. But we keep it simple. We're not going to be like, yeah, we're gonna place an IV in their hand, put a central line in, whatever we're gonna do. We're gonna give them propofol. No, don't do that crap. Shut up. Just be simple about it. And if they have a question, they will ask you.
Or it's like, even going back to what you were saying, Alex, like if, a lot of people are like, oh, do like a membership, right? Like do a dental membership. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to really get my membership like going, I'd probably find someone who's worked at gyms for a long time and like was really good at selling memberships and like hire that person and pay them well, versus just teaching an assistant. Right?
Yeah, I think it goes exactly what Zach was saying. You got to think outside the box, hire someone that isn't like not necessarily from your office or fits like the requirements that we like have like a narrow mindset on, and then just teach them the rest, like, or send them to a course on like, okay, these are like the dental codes or whatever.
Yeah.
Dentistry can be taught. It can be, I would take more time investing into good assistants or ones that have, the training that you don't have to fully train an assistant yourself. Depending on your state, some can't learn on the job, but like I would spend more time and focus on getting them and your clinical staff top tier and all your front staff. You could hire out of dentistry and teach them so fast.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's what I would do.
All right.
Good thing I'm not doing it again.
Normal, we could probably go on this for like 4 hours. This is fun. We'll have to do this more regular.
Yeah, we'll have to do another one.
It's fun to get different perspectives on it. And if you're wondering, I think Kirk just decided to dish us halfway through. So
he said his power went out in his house and everything died.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, he texted me. So
he didn't like what we said.
No, we just offended him.
It's all good. It's all good.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
And we'll have
Absolutely.
to. We'll do part 2 on yours, or do all that.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Absolutely. Cool. We're down for that.